Father Ben.
O God, our eternal Father, we ask your blessing on His Majesty the King and his government, and on the mayor and councillors of this borough as they meet this afternoon. May wisdom guide those tasked with the reorganisation of local government, that they may seek the greater good of all the citizens of Norfolk. We pray for the reassurance of your Holy Spirit in this time of change, praying especially for those who feel their future is insecure, that, in the message given to Mother Julian of Norwich, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. This prayer we offer through Jesus Christ, your Son. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Father. Please be seated. Thank you.
No.
Do we have any apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've had apologies from councillors Beale, Bearshaw, Collop, Dickinson, Everett, Fry, Hodson, Humphrey, Jameson, Coons, Lawrence, Lowe, Moore, Parish, Spikings, Tyler and De Winton. Any more from the floor?
Any more from the floor, please? Thank you. As you probably noticed, the Deputy Mayor is absent. He's on comment, I think. Ordinarily, we would ask for a Vice Chair, but as it's a one-item meeting, we would dispense with the Vice Chair, and I'll be supported by the Monitoring Officer and Democratic Services. Next item is declarations of interest, please. Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you. I think the advice is that we should give a declaration of interest if we are county councillors, so I'm doing that. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, county councillor.
Yes, I'm a county councillor too.
Oh, yeah, county councillor as well. Yeah.
That's a cool one.
Also a county councillor.
Is that everybody? Thank you. Yes, yes. Thank you. There's no urgent business I know of. So we'll move on to the motion, which is to be presented by Councillor Beales, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I propose the recommendations from 16th of September Cabinet, which recommends that this council endorses a 3-unitary model for local government reorganisation in Norfolk. And before moving on, Mr. Mayor, I would like to inform members that this morning our colleagues at Breckland District Council approved this proposal by a massive majority in about 30 minutes. I just thought I'd point that out, Mr. Mayor. LGR has been a massive preoccupation for this and other councils since the publication of the white paper in December 2024. I'd like to thank all officers and members in all of the 6 councils involved, as well as fellow leaders, for what has been a mammoth task, but one richly rewarded, I think, with the robust and sensible proposal before you. I've been at pains to always try and stress the positives of our case, but it is a fact that this is a competitive space and there are proposals other than our own. The proposal that Norfolk can be governed from one single place over all of its 2,000 square miles and nearly 1 million people is, in my view, a nonsense. A nonsense in terms of local democracy, or rather the lack of it. A nonsense in the failure to understand the unique needs and demands of historic towns, villages and communities, not to mention the city of Norwich. And a nonsense in terms of finance, which we've heard so much about from others. Biggest is the only way, they say, but there is no factual or academic underpinning of the benefits of scale. It is just not there. And as before, I would point to the largest local authority in Europe, not just this country, in Europe, Birmingham City Council, with over 1.1 million people, which effectively went bust in September 2023. Nor can I see as credible that reorganisation can be achieved in 1 year, as that model asserts. What it does is underline the belief that the county council can simply absorb the districts and carry on as usual. No one is going to take anyone over, and it's really important that's understood, because these will be new authorities with new elected memberships and new officer teams yet to be recruited in the senior levels. And that's really important, because that is all about transition to what will be a new structure of local government, and anything that hinders that has to be tackled, and that needs tackling. That culture of we'll take over them, they'll take over us. No, this is going to be new. Carrying on as usual but bigger, as some would propose, would be a disaster, and as shown by the woeful financial track record, with huge overspends, massive debts, and the money spent arguing with parents. It all speaks for itself. I'm also deeply troubled that whilst no fewer than 269 councillors get to vote on our proposals, in County Hall 84 get to talk about it, but only 10 get to vote. That's a dreadful portent of how a single county unitary is envisaged to be run, in my view. No. And turning to a two-unitary model, again, it is envisaged that reorganisation can be done within a year, and as before, the complexities, in my view, make that a nonsense. But not only that, apparently tens of millions can be saved immediately in that first year from budgets such as children's services by demand management, no less than 8% of the budget. Demand management, an innocent phrase, but one that means people's services will be cut off at the knees with little notice. How else could they do it in a year? As well as the frankly astonishing financial claims, a two-unitary proposal does nothing to free up the economic powerhouse of Norwich, and rather subsumes it in a rural unitary and a rural community with very, very different needs to those living in the city. Again, no. Contrast that with our own sensible, cautious, and possibly understated proposal. The critical factor is that three unitaries centred around the historic towns of Kings Lynn in the west, Great Yarmouth in the east, and the historic city of Norwich in the centre bring real local democracy and representation to communities whose cultures and needs are known and will be respected. That message came across to me loud and clear, the need for local democracy, from parish councils, from people I met out and about, people in the pub, and in the nearly 5,500 survey responses to Future Norfolk. So I'd no doubt what was needed. I just needed to be sure it could be paid for and could deliver high quality and improving services, which were the other key demands from the public. And from the proposal before you, you can see that is possible. Three financially robust unitaries that are sustainable and close to their communities. Yes, there are financial risks, and these are laid out in the report, warts and all. But for those that are worried about such risks, and we all should be, I would point you to the certainty of the current system and the huge £900 million debt built up under existing failing policies. What our proposal promises is a transition over 4 years, not in a ridiculously impossible year, but over 4 years, to social policies based on a preventative approach, managed by specialist but joined up teams, handling all aspects of people's needs without them having to repeat over and over again what their problems are, all bolstered by the use of modern technology, including AI. Now, some have said, AI, what does that mean? Well, I'd point you to the work already being done by other councils, and I've seen some really impressive work at the LGR conference. but also the £22 billion investment in the UK in AI, which was announced only yesterday. And this week's news story that medical researchers have used AI to analyse people's medical data and predict future conditions as far as a decade ahead. That is transformative, and the pace will only quicken. All that will enable early interpretation of data to identify problems before they worsen. As my colleague Councillor Ring put it so eloquently at Cabinet, to stop the person falling off the cliff rather than picking up the pieces at the bottom. An exciting way forward, a way forward that respects local democracy, a way forward that is financially robust. I ask you for your support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you have a seconder, please? Councillor Wynne.
I'd like to second that, reserve my right.
Reserve your right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm disappointed that the leader chose to attack the other bids that are being submitted. After all, we've all been asked to submit across all councils in Norfolk, and actually every single district level council could have submitted an individual bid. And of course, the county would be remiss not to submit a bid as well, because they were asked to. But I do agree with him that whatever happens, it looks like we're on the path to a new unitary council being formed, be it of 1, 2, 3, or who knows, with the current government, it might be 57 different unitaries that are formed. They do have form for changing their mind, especially when they've got confidence in the people that they have on their team, and within a week they go. Unfortunately, so far, this one hasn't gone and they haven't U-turned. And so, as local government always does, given a task, we make a submission. Now, if the submission was none of the above, let's keep a two-tier system. Let's have it funded in a way that actually works for rural areas and not urban areas. Let's have a funding formula which is fair and gives local government a chance to flourish. Let local government have the tools to be able to create its own wealth for its citizens in its area. Then I would be sticking my hand up for that before anything else. But of course, it's top-down government reorganisation that's being forced upon us. And so what do? Well, we could always bash what the county has done in the past. We could, bash what their submission might be. I'm not going to go there. I don't think that befits where we're at. Our case for this council should be submitted, irrespective of whether you're a single hatter, a twin hatter, a quadruple hatter. It makes no odds. We were asked to make a submission, and we've got a submission to make. And when I sit in County Hall in a week's time, whenever it is, and I know I won't have a vote on I'll just be discussing it, as Alistair has said, because the constitution is different, I'll be making the very same point. We've got to make a submission. Government has told us to. And I'll be sticking my hand up to support that they make a submission too. Now, will I endorse it? Well, no, not really. There are merits in certain services being delivered on a big scale across a bigger organisation. But there are also merits in local delivery and local accountability, where people feel a place in where they live and that their council represents them locally. And in too many times in the past, we have found that we feel like we're rather more miles for Norwich to come to us than for us to go to them. And only the other day, a journey of normally an hour took over 2. So what will I be saying? Well, yeah, I'll be sticking my hand up and voting, Mr. Mayor. But ultimately, if I could think I could win in a vote for amendment to say, no, let's not send them anything. Let's just tell them we want it to take as long as possible and end up in the long grass, like so many previous government policies. And that's all colours, including decisions on things like an incinerator that we didn't want in West Norfolk, well, then I'd do that. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hopefully that's helped.
Councillor Bone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mine's going to be much conciser. I've had lots of, we've debated this for 6 months. The general feel is that we are supporting it. It's the most democratic thing that we put forward. It's made up of 6 of the districts. And it's the will of the people. It makes more sense. It keeps us more local. And yeah, we fully support this, and we feel it's the most democratic decision put forward as a group, opposed to what is being done at county. If it's done within the cabinet, it's probably not the most correct thing to do. And I look forward to supporting this and this proposal, which officers and the leader have worked extremely hard on, and I thank them for the work they've done, and look forward to the exciting opportunities that this will bring.
Councillor Kirk, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, the Reform Group 2 will be supporting this. The alternative is not very nice to look at. Single unitary, we don't need it. Over here in the west, my 7 parishes do not want a single unitary. It just doesn't work, and it won't work. At this point, I'd like Brian has said, thank Alistair and his team and the officers. Kate, you've done a tremendous job getting this put together in a short time scale. Against all the odds, I wish to thank you all, but fully support it. Let's go onwards and upwards with it and push for it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, in the Progressive Group, we have a free vote, and I will be supporting this. But I'll not be supporting it because I agree with local government reorganisation, because I believe that that's possibly one of the worst things that this government will ever do for Norfolk, because Norfolk is just too big for all of this. We need a strategic authority for things like children's services, adult social care and transport. We need local councils in the towns, the market towns where we've always had them. In Kings Lynn, we've had local government here for 800 years. In fact, we have the right to self-government by royal charters, at least 2, 1204 and 1530 and 1525. And I think we need to remember that. We need to be visible and local in our communities. This is what local government should do. So although it's crunch time for local government, I think we've got to support this motion, send it to the government, but we've also got to represent concerns, because these reorganisations, they do not solve the financial problems of councils. Norfolk councils are going to be underfunded by £20 million in coming years. And it's not realistic to expect us to fund the reorganisation ourselves. We're going to have to find 27 million to do so. This is absolutely not right. Also, we would have to take on a share of the county council debt. Now, the county council has £1 billion in debt, borrowing, and it costs £30 million a year to service this debt. So with 3 unitaries, we could have to pick up 10 million a year. It's really wasted money, isn't it? Also, the staffing of 3 separate children's services departments and 3 adult social care departments for the 3 unitary proposal. Children's services and adult social services are very difficult to staff because you have lots of skills which are difficult to come by, particularly here in Norfolk, very agile teams. It includes fostering, the in-service team for children in care, the leaving care team, youth justice teams, and of course, for adult social care, you have the deprivation of liberty team, you have the teams that go into care homes to help people. Deprivation of liberty meaning people shouldn't be wrongly, that's if they're put into care homes, but equally well, these are important departments. Also transport, big projects like the West Winch bypass. Who's going to take that up? It would have to be us. It's just not right. You need to have things done locally, which are important, but you need to have things done strategically. And this includes the fact that we need to look at what we've got, what we do best, and what residents want. Now, parish councils I represent don't want to see one council in Norfolk, but equally well, they don't really want to be taking on extra responsibilities. And this is something else which the white paper has said that they probably should be doing. We know there are issues in Norfolk with 700 villages and 6,000 miles of roads, rurality. It's difficult getting people to take part in parish councils. A lot of parish councils, even in the bigger service villages, find it very hard to find 12 people. There are people like Westwich with only 6 or 7, Clench Wharton the same. And with things changing, the retirement age extending, with people having to look after older relatives and children so their children can work, they look after their grandchildren, and health problems as well, it's difficult. So I think that to expect them to take over more public services without the staffing which the borough council has, and things like advice from the legal department when they get into difficulties, this is just not realistic. And I think we need to represent this to government as well. Government really should be giving us the funding it needs, some to the borough, some to the county, but it should not be forcing reorganisation upon us like this, because that's clearly undemocratic. And there is a risk, a high risk in this document of disruption to services because of the reorganisation. This is not the right sort of risk to be imposing on us. And so I will support this proposal, but local government reorganisation, the government should really think again. Thank you.
Councillor Davula-Pally.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unlike some of my colleagues, I actually support local government reorganisation. Not if it means that we end up with one unitary council for Norfolk, but I think the principle of getting rid of a two-tier council is not a bad one. Ultimately, councils are there to serve the people, and I think the less complex we make administration for them, contacting councillors, the better it is for everyone. So I do support unitary councils. Of course, Norfolk being as big as it is, I think a 3-council unitary would be the best solution for our people. And I hope the government listens to us. I thank Alistair, Kate, and everybody involved in this stupendous effort to get unity among the 6 councils and to come forward as one voice to push for this. I think it's a real shame that Norfolk County Council didn't join in with us in this. They could have easily supported this. They chose not to. And I think that's a real shame. And I don't think that's in the interest of the residents of West Norfolk. Thank you.
Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of brief points, if I may, in response to Councillor Long. We as a council and councillors and also parish councils have had a good number of briefings on what's in front of us today. My wife said I was talking in my sleep, and what on earth is LGR? We've heard a lot about it, and all of the presentations we've had have been positive about our presentation. And that does contrast somewhat with the county, which seemed to want to attack our presentation before we'd even made it. It attacked our case without knowing its details, and it seems to have done it fairly unrelenting. We have not taken that path, but I think it was important, and I was grateful that the leader actually made some points, because we have to compare and contrast from time to time. Of course, I am very supportive of the 3-council proposal. Councillor Long mentioned one thing at the end of his speech, and let us remember this. If we have one unitary, that incinerator could well be back on the table. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dewally.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Plato explored the notion of a perfect community in his seminal work, The Republic, in which he discusses the central virtue of Sophrosyne, or harmonious balance and moderation in governments and wider society. Please humour me a moment to explore this concept in relation to our joint local government reorganisation. Proposal for a 3-unitary council model, and especially in relation to 2 aspects of the governance criteria. Firstly, unitary local government must be of the right size to achieve efficiencies, improve capacity, and withstand financial shocks. Efficiency is achieved by balancing productivity, communication and agility, which are hindered by excessive size, leading to complexities of managing more people, adverse or competing priorities within an organisation, increased administrative layers and bureaucracy, loss of focus on individual contributions, and communication breakdown. Do these issues already sound familiar? Secondly, proposals should show how councils in the area have sought to work together in coming to a view that meets local needs and is informed by local views. The comprehensive bid before us is the only one of the three that is joint authored and by no less than 6 of Norfolk's councils, as well as garnering the support of the majority of Norfolk's MPs. In addition, the robust consultation process has not only proven compliance with local community wishes, but also compliance with Westminster's requirements. I would also like to thank the leaders, chief executives and officers of all the 6 councils involved in the production of an outstanding bid that itself shows the productivity, communication and agility to overcome considerable constraints, not least in such a short timetable. For these reasons, amongst others, I overwhelmingly commend our proposal for a 3-unitary model to this council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Dark, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate the subject matter is quite serious, but I do think of that joke where someone stops for directions to a village and says, how do I get there? And the person says, I wouldn't start from here. This is the biggest local government reform, if this goes through, in 50 years. And we are in a position, unfortunately, that both the government ministers that were starting to talk with this have recently gone. And the timeline on this is that our council and other councils are having to make a decision at this point around submissions into a process that's led by central government. At this moment in time, we don't exactly know what the offer is on the table financially around this or the structure of that reform that we're putting into this process. We know that if we look at the national press, that there is a disconnect between certain departments that will offer us money and the Treasury that says there is no money. So this is all a difficult place for us all to be in to discuss something with this serious weight. However, the only thing we can do at this moment is actually not take the end decision, but move ourselves forwards. Now, in terms of the paper in front of us, the recommendations to full council, notes the contents of the report, endorses the final proposal for this council and delegates to the chief executive. There is nothing there that actually stops us doing that. As has been mentioned by Councillor Long and others, we have been invited by central government to put forward a submission as a council. And I commend the work done by the chief exec and others, Alistair in particular, to actually get us to this point. But there is nothing in that recommendation that we can't support, because if we don't put in a submission, which is one of the options, then nothing would get considered by the government at the next stage. So for me, I feel that I can support this. I don't feel that I've got a conflict of interest with county, because if we don't put a submission in, ultimately, the government ministers that will be making the decision on this that suits them, whoever they may be, will not have a submission from West Norfolk. So I'd come back to what we are talking about in this debate, and I've heard some comments around county council and us and various other things in the debate. The reality is we need to wake up that if this goes through, there is no county council and there is no borough council. There will be an entirely new entity, whether it's 1, 2 or 3. But the reality is we've got to carry on playing into the game which is being dictated by central government. So we need to put a submission forwards. So I am quite happy to support the 3 recommendations because we need to get that in place. Thank you.
Councillor Joyce, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look at this in a little bit in the way that when the Confederate Army left Atlanta, what did they leave behind? It's a bit like when the Ginger Growler left the government, what did she leave behind? Those who know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And while a lot of emphasis has been put on how many savings will be made, where is the delivery of the service? Which is far more important to the person on the end of the service receiving it. That's where it counts. And that will always be done better from someone who has a greater knowledge of not just the individual, but the area in which the individual lives. And so, while this is very much mirrors 30 years ago when John Major was in government, it is the best that can be put forward simply on delivery. Now, I could sit here and tell you some stories about what the county council have done. They would not be nice stories as far as the county council is concerned. But in this part of the world, people do feel as though they are alienated from the county council. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. I'll call it the way I see it. And I would say that when he was leader, Councillor Dark did try to build bridges with the county council. And in many respects, he was successful. But you cannot rely on one man when you want to service a population of around 1 million people. They just cannot do that. And so the reason that I will be supporting Councillor Beals's proposal is simply on the delivery, because the financial aspect in other areas, experience tells us that in other areas, I believe Somerset is one, the financial delivery didn't come forward that was expected. Although I don't doubt Michelle over there and her figures, I still put delivery first. The people first, they must come first, and the service that they receive should be the best that is possible. And finally, I would say to you, Mr. Mayor, when everyone else has had their say, I would ask you to come back to me, because I would like to put this in a recorded vote, if that is okay with you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Osborne, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's been a lot of talk of sort of top-down enforcement, and I mean, it is hard to argue against some of that, although I would just stress that if you think about Britain as a polity, we are very Westminster dominated, and we have been for over a century, if not longer. So unless you were going to have a wholesale change in our entire governing system, I think local government is always going to be very dependent on what central government does. But overall, I would say the process has, I think, gone very well, and I've been very happy with, the engagement of this council and the leadership and the officers. And I think they've also done a very good job at trying to take members and the public along with us. The survey for the free model option had an impressive, not huge numbers, but compared to the county one, quite large numbers, and particularly in the borough, I think 800, 900 people did it, which is pretty good out of 5,000 across Norfolk. So I think overall, even if everyone hasn't been fully keen on this, I think certainly, along with several other colleagues who have spoken before, that actually unitary councils do really have potential. They've existed and worked in a lot of places. Wales and Scotland, where I've previously lived, have had them, and there is that simplicity that is a good thing. But also, if we think about service delivery, if we think that, all of those services that have been delivered by county in a free unitary model, those 80 to 85% of services will now be delivered much nearer, ultimately, to the people who use them, even if, you're in a slightly bigger council than was previously had. in the district system. Obviously, if you have a one unitary model across the whole county, then that does not apply, and that is why, as pretty much everyone has spoken and suggested, that is not a great idea. But I am confident that if the free unitary option is selected by the government, I think that it can be made to work, as shown by this, pretty detailed proposal that I think asks quite a lot of good questions about how we can shift stuff. And then there's also the potential, with Suffolk, the coordination from the strategic authority and the mayor, which I think, looking at other areas in the country, there's a lot to be interested in, around development and regeneration. And it is good to, think about we're in quite a good place potentially to benefit from that, I think, in the next few years. So overall, I think process has been a positive one, and obviously we should be voting for this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sayers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to recognise and thank our officers for the considerable work they have put into preparing this submission. Producing a proposal of this complexity takes significant time, expertise and commitment, and their efforts deserve our appreciation. As a Liberal Democrat, I believe local decisions should be made locally. That principle underpins my support for this submission for 3 unitary authorities. While I would personally have preferred 2 authorities as the ideal balance between scale and accountability, that option is not before us. The proposal before us represents a practical and positive step change towards bringing decisions making closer to our communities. I'm particularly encouraged that under this model, West Norfolk will have a stronger voice and greater opportunity to influence decisions affecting our residents that we are here to do. For too long, parts of the West have felt overlooked, and this structure offers a real chance to address that. That said, I'm mindful of the challenges. West Norfolk's tax base is significantly smaller than the East's, while the area would cover is substantial. Without fair funding mechanisms, transitional support, and guarantees from service delivery, our new unitary authority could face pressures that make delivering high-quality services more difficult. It is also worth noting lessons from other unitary authorities across the county. Large unitaries can struggle with accountability and responsiveness, while very small ones can face financial pressures. There is, I believe, an optimum size that balances representation and viability, and I hope that the government continues to take these lessons seriously as Norfolk implements this new structure. In conclusion, while this proposal is not perfect in my mind, I believe it is the best representation of I believe it represents a positive opportunity. It strengthens local decision making, empowers West Norfolk, and provides a clear framework for accountability. For these reasons, I will be supporting the submission for the 3 unitary authorities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ratcliffe, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with colleagues who found this a frustrating timing for this organisation, this local government reorganisation to come forward. This council, the Borough Council of Kings Lynn and West Norfolk, had recently agreed a strategic plan, a corporate plan with sort of exciting projects for the development of this borough, forward-looking plans that would benefit the residents and include some significant projects. The leadership of the council has also got this council onto a sound financial footing, which is very welcome. So it's frustrating that this local government reorganisation will interrupt those the development of those plans and projects, but we hope that whichever unitary authority comes after this council will be able to continue those, in part due to the amount of work that's been put in place already to get those get projects ready. I particularly, as with my colleagues, like to commend the work that the council officers have put in, not just for our proposal for the 3 unitary solution, which the officers in those 6 councils have been working on, but also the other 2 proposals. Officers have worked hard to provide the all the data on the local areas and their proposals. And all of that data will help to inform the councillors who do become elected to the new unitary authority or authorities in whatever form they take. This information will be vital to try and steer those organisations in a positive way for the residents. And after all, we're all here to do the best for our residents and trying to provide council services within our remit as best we can. So I do support the 3 unitary proposal as we have to go through this process, and I hope that hope it goes forward in that guise. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to also commend all the officers and the work they have done. But I think what we should also look at is the way that this council has decided to roll up its sleeves and work with other councils to try and get this proposal together, to work with other councils, no matter what political background they are. And we have got to this point where we have a good, sustainable plan that will help us to grow even bigger and better. So I fully commend this and thank all the officers and our leader for the hard work that they have put in to create this proposal for us. Thank you.
Councillor Hennigan.
Okay, thank you. This is the Labour government delivering on a pledge. I mean, I, for one, really welcome this opportunity for reorganisation. I think this will bring more power to West Norfolk, not less, and I think it makes the system a lot easier for residents, and that's who we're actually elected to serve at the end of the day. I mean, I previously lived in a unitary. Council systems were so much easier. I was somewhat confounded by the multi-system that we've got here in West Norfolk. So I'm very pleased to see this change. I mean, at the end of the day, residents' priority is about getting good services. And I don't think a lot of them really mind how that's delivered to them. I mean, this was very much a Goldilocks choice, I think. And I think that we've got 1 unitary is too big, 2 unitaries is, well, not quite right, and 3 is probably just perfect, really. So, so I think this is an excellent report. It puts forward a robust case for a 3 unitary model, and I'm very happy to put my support behind this.
Councillor Rust, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I will join everybody else and echo the thanks to the officers. They've done a marvellous job, as has our leader. I was, as many of you know, against this. I didn't want local government reorganisation. I liked being a borough councillor. I wanted the opportunity to continue it. But when we are forced into taking action, it's incumbent on us who are voted to represent our people to embrace it and to try to get the very best out of it that we can for the residents that we support, the residents that we make decisions on. And so with that mindset, I decided that I too would embrace this change. And I actually do believe that our plan for a 3 unitary model really will deliver and enable us to offer the services differently. Because after all, although financial savings are an important part of this, throughout it all is about service and system transformation. With our 3 unitary model, that plan very clearly sets out the way that we will deliver services differently. And it is that system transformation that's going to make a difference to the lives of our residents. The business as usual model put forward by Norfolk County Council, it's not delivering already. So for them to take over the 1 in 5 services that we currently deliver, it's not going to be successful. I think, as the leader has said, the 2 unitary model is unrealistic and presents savings which are unlikely to come to fruition. Ours is reasoned, it's rational, and it takes into account the needs of our residents and the needs of our area. So I wholeheartedly support this, and I look forward to central government taking notice of the level of consultation that we've done. It wasn't just paper consultations. I attended roadshows and spoke to hundreds of our local residents, hundreds of them that all wanted a 3-unitary model. So let's take this forward. Let's bang the drum for the 3-unitary model, vote for it, and hope that central government takes us up on it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Coates, please.
Thank you. Yes, I want to echo the congratulations to our leader and to the staff that have worked very hard. I'm sure it's in nobody's job description to have done this kind of work. So they've done extra work, different work, and they've done it very well. And they've come up with the right results, as has our leader, who's put over things, I thought, extremely well. And they've come up with the right results. But I see this as only the first part of a continuing work that we've got to do. We put in this to government, but I think that we need to continue to sell this idea, this concept of the 3 unitaries. We don't want to sit back on our laurels. We want to continue to sell it throughout Norfolk and encourage the other districts to do likewise, to change the minds of people that 3 unitaries is the right concept, so that the whole of Norfolk believes this is the right thing to do, and not let the county council in any way bludgeon Norfolk people to think that that they've got it right. We want to continue to say throughout the coming months that the 3 unitary concept is the correct one. So we need to keep selling to local people. And I want to look as well further into the future, because once the new unitary councils have been elected, we've got the elections, and they start appointing staff, they will want to take the best of the staff to the new top positions. And there's a risk that we shall worry about losing the best of our staff, but we shouldn't, because the best of our staff will go to the new unitaries, and our top staff will be the very best of the new unitary staff. So we should congratulate ourselves when that happens. We shall have a short-term loss, but it will be for the long-term benefit of the new West Norfolk Unitary Council. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak before we sum up? Call on Councillor Ring, please.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't going to say too much, but just in order to extend our time so that we beat Breckland, I will say a few words. I am really appreciative and thankful that unanimously, I think those that have spoken so far have thanked Alistair and Kate in particular for the work that they've put in. I've lived this through osmosis, sitting opposite Alistair since the LGR process started, and I've barely seen the lady sitting up here as she's been drawn away on so many occasions. And I would point out to everybody that she's also the lead on devolution, pushing the case forward. So I am extremely grateful that we made the appointment last year to appoint Kate Blakemore to her post, and I don't think even with Alistair's incredible powers of persuasion we would have got there without Kate. I do I have to say, from day one of becoming a councillor, I have believed, and I agree with Pallavi, that LGR is the right thing. As a businessman, I came into council buildings seeing efficiency gaps everywhere, and once I became a county councillor, that diminished the efficiency gaps I saw here, because the efficiency gaps at county are enormous. So the concept of continuing the same thing and expecting a different result, which is the definition of madness, of course, which is what county are proposing in their proposition, is absurd. Efficiency changes through transformation is the absolute key to this, and it is what government have put LGR forward in the first place. So county's proposal demonstrate that they just don't understand what it is that government are asking for. But just to give you some fact behind that, I confess I haven't read our approach cover to cover, having, as I said, sat opposite Alistair for so long whilst he's commuted it to me. I didn't feel I needed to. But I have read the county's proposal cover to cover, and I have a number of questions and challenges that I'll be putting forward at scrutiny and full council next week. But let me just point out one thing. On page 155 of their pack, they refer to limited transformational savings from existing non-staffing county expenditure. So does that mean, highlight not, that their model is indicating there is little transformational change that is achievable with the proposed new organisation from their end, and that all savings will come from the districts? That really highlights further the point here that the county constantly talk about 85% of services that they deliver. No, they don't. They have 85% of the total budget being spent in this county with districts and counties together. So let's put that into context. If somebody came to me and said, I'm going to do one service for £850, and those people over there are going to deliver 50 services for £150, who's delivering the most services? And if we had decided this year to set our budget using, if Michelle would have let us, set our budget using the entire amount of our reserve, we would have increased the amount of budget being spent. So we would have reduced in an instant the amount of services county were delivering. So this concept of service, and here I agree with Councillor Joyce, this is about service delivery from our point of view. It may be about cost for the government, and I understand why it's about cost for the government. That's what they do. It is not about cost for us. What it is about service delivery for us. And there is no doubt, and I find county's proposal insulting to all of the hardworking staff in the district, because it suggests that they are not needed, they are not worthy. The delivery of the services, the things like pet care and repair that is saving the NHS money because we stop people from falling over. The care line that we look after, all of these types of services would, if you look at the county's proposal, disappear, because there is nowhere else they're going to be able to save the money from the way that they're talking about it. And one other point about their service offering is that part of their submission is that part of what they are saying is they want to transfer significant assets and services down to parish councils. Significant assets and services down. Now, there's lots of head shaking here. It's not because they don't agree with me, I suspect. It's because it's impossible to achieve. Thank you. They haven't asked the parish council whether they want these services and assets to look after. Now, let's assume the parish councils do want these services. Are the parish councils going to do this for free? Are they going to get lots of volunteers to do it? Or will they have to raise their precepts significantly to do that? And yet there is not one penny in the county's proposal to cover the cost of increased taxation that will happen outside of the remit of the new unitary, but within the proposal that the parishes will have to do in order to deliver those services. And again, what we're talking about here is county council do not understand local service delivery. That's clear and obvious from that one line in the report. They do not get it. And why? Because the people that put this report together do not care. They decided it was one unitary from day one without looking at any data whatsoever. They did not take the time that the six other districts took to analyse it. And that shows that the one unitary model is predicated on the survival of individuals and not on what is best for county. I am really reassured with some of the comments that have been made here tonight. I would say to Councillor Coates that no, it wasn't in anyone's job description to do what has been done. But I will point out the person whose job description this was definitely not in was Alistair's. And for the amount of time and effort, and I'm saying this really for the public's benefit, the amount of time and effort that is put in by some of the councillors in this building and that councillors across the county for the allocation of allowances that are being given is phenomenal effort. And I applaud that. And I applaud that for all of those councillors. Hopefully those are the ones that will stand up for the new unitaries, and we will have a quality set of councillors delivering quality services to our constituents. What I will say though, one final thing, you'll be pleased I'm summing up, is I will suggest and agree with Councillor Coates that we do need to keep talking about this until the government's made the decision. But please, can we let Alistair have a break and go to the States to see Poppy play hockey? Thank you very much.
Councillor Beale, you have the right to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think our CEO may disagree about job description. I think a year today, well done. It's been quite a year. No one anticipated this sort of year. And you've said that a number of times, that Trade Descriptions Act probably doesn't cover what we told you in that recruitment panel. But thank you for all that you've done. You've heard in the chamber how much it means, you and all the other officers and others. But I'm sorry if some felt that I was unduly negative. It's not the way I try and go about things. As you know, I've really tried hard in this scenario to take everyone with us. And I think generally succeeded, not because of anything clever that I've done, but they always say the way to lead Norfolk people is find out where they're going and get in front. And it's quite clear that we are going this way for a good reason. But I did feel, as Councillor Moriarty pointed out, that it was important to compare and contrast. But we need to put that into context. It is important, but I think we ought to bear in mind, I didn't rise, and we didn't rise as an organisation when very early on we were told the West would go bust. And I don't mention that for any other reason than that had real material impacts. We had staff that were concerned. Our CEO had to address the staff. I did, because they really did feel unsettled. And we know this is unsettling for staff. It's unsettling for us as councillors, it's unsettling for the public that they're interested to know about it. So there were real impacts there, but I didn't react negatively. I was disappointed, but we welcomed the county team over here to try and understand why they thought that was the case. I was none the wiser when they left, but we treated them with respect and courtesy while they were here. But it's important, Mr. Mayor, to recognise this is politics. We are going to disagree. This is a competitive space. Others believe as strongly that their proposal is right as we do. But that's one thing. The relationships with the county must and will remain strong. We have some really good relationships between members who will, in the competitive space, hit each other over the head, but recognise that there is a duty to the public, and that will be maintained. We have some excellent relationships with the officer teams, and I've encouraged that and continue to do so. So I hope that puts that in context. But fundamentally, what I'm asking for is support. not for criticism of others, but for a really positive, forward-looking proposal, Mr. Mayor. And I hope we can move to the vote and give it unanimous support, which will send a real message to the government and to others. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce has proposed that we have a recorded vote. We need 3 seconders, please.
I will second that, Mr. Mayor.
I'll third it.
Thank you.
I'll fourth it.
Thank you. I now ask the Democratic Services Manager to conduct the recorded vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, I'll read out your name and if you could indicate for, against, abstain. Thank you. Councillor Ayres.
For.
Councillor Beales.
For.
Councillor Bondi.
For.
Councillor Bland.
For.
Councillor Blunt.
For.
Councillor Bone.
For.
Councillor Bubb.
For.
Councillor Bullen.
For.
Councillor Coates.
For.
Councillor Collingham.
For.
Councillor Colwell.
For.
Councillor Crofts.
For.
Councillor Dark.
For.
Councillor Davula-Polly.
For.
Councillor Hennigan. For. Councillor Jones.
5.
That's definitely a 4. 4, okay. Councillor Joyce.
4.
Councillor Kemp.
For.
Councillor Kirk.
4.
Councillor Linton.
4.
Councillor Long.
Yeah, 4.
Councillor Moriarty.
4.
Councillor Morley.
For.
Councillor Nash.
4.
Councillor Osborne.
For.
Councillor Ratcliffe.
4.
Councillor Ring.
4.
Councillor Rose.
4.
Councillor Rust.
4.
Councillor Rives. Councillor Sandal.
4.
Councillor Sayers.
4.
Councillor Squire.
4.
Councillor Story.
4.
Councillor Ware.
4.
And Councillor Diwali.
4.
Most been unanimously passed. Meeting closed. Thank you very much.
All rise for the Mayor.